I'm back. Been a long time since I made something in the shed. And today's the day that I'm back in the shed for good. I've tried a couple other things on YouTube, didn't work out. It's good to have a break from woodwork. It energised me. Today I'm going to use all my offcuts and a couple of bits of ply to make something that's going to be worth about $500 or $600. You buy them an ST for about $500 or $600. Just out of your offcuts and a couple of bits of ply. And that is end grain cutting boards, 2 inches thick. But instead of making them out of solid timber, the interior of mine are going to be made out of plywood. And I'm going to cover them all in end grain timbers all around. Today, as I said, we're going to make something that's easy to make. It sells on Etsy for about $400 or $500. An end grain cutting board, but my way. I'll show it to you now. How is this for a reveal? Look at that, look at that. Over 2 inches thick, made of offcuts, and a couple of bits of ply. Come up dead straight, perfect cutting board. And it's so easy to make, guys, so easy to make. And this board cost me about, well, it didn't cost me anything, but I had the materials, but if I had to go buy the materials, it would cost me about $25, $30. And they sell on Etsy for about $400 or $500. And you can do unusual patterns. I've done this brick pattern with a jarrah border, but you can do any pattern you like. As you see in the video, it's all up to you guys. So have a look. I'll show you exactly how to make this board. So let's get into it. Same as what I did with this chessboard. I made the chessboard ages ago, and it is just 2 bits of ply glued together, and with timber on top. That's exactly how I'm going to make the cutting boards. Put the timber on top in a random pattern, and then do the edges 2 inches thick. I bet you haven't seen that done on YouTube before. As you know, guys, I like doing things my way, which is sometimes unusual. But it's a lot of fun to make them. So let's get into it, guys. Okay, just gluing up the ply now. Whoops. First day back. Damn. And you notice that I put the little bowl to the centre, each one. So when I press them, get down. God, the bastard getting old. Can't get down on your hands and knees. So when I press them, they'll come up flat. We've got the ply and the cramps. I'm going to do an experiment. But we're going to use end grain, so I've got to glue end grain to the plywood instead of long grain. So I've got a bit of end grain here. I've got a bit of long grain. I'll just put some glue on them, put them on the bit of ply, let them dry, and then we'll see how much force it takes to knock them off tomorrow. Okay, just rub them in. And a bit of long grain now. Spread it with your finger. Rub that in. Let them dry. When you rub them in, they suck down onto the board. Like that, you can't get much more pressure than that. Even when I press that as hard as I can't see any more glue coming out. So when you rub them in, it sucks it down. Now the glorious day in the shed. Let's try our test pieces now. I've got one end grain and one long grain glued with type 1-3 on a bit of ply. And now we'll knock them off to see what happens. Okay, we'll start with the long grain one. Okay. A lot of the veneers of the ply will come off on the long grain, which is good. That with a lot of force. A metal hammer, that's a very heavy object that really got into it. This is only one little piece, so. Okay. Let's see what happened. The long grain stuck better than the end grain, but the end grain still stuck alright. I can still see fibres of the plywood in the long grain. Once all the pieces are glued together and then glued down to the board, I reckon that'll be enough. I reckon that will hold. Let's do it. The plywood out of the press. Look at that, dead flat I think. I'll put it on my table saw, which is a flat surface, and we'll see how it sits. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, the ply is ready to go. The next trick is to decide what sort of pattern we're going to have. I'm jealous because you guys have already seen the pattern that I'm going to make, and I haven't. So, which can give me a hint. I'm thinking of making a pattern around the edges and then filling in the centre. That's what I'm thinking. Rather than just making a complete random board. I think that might look better. Let's do that. Let's make a pattern around the edges, and I'll make that out of one timber, I think. Maybe Jarrah. Maybe Jarrah, nice red timber, and fill in the body with all the different offcuts. And that might look good. That might look good. Let's do that. I'll go get some Jarrah. Just trimming up the ply now. This is the first trim. And there's a Jarrah. Bloody heavy, the Jarrah. Give it a mo. Trimmed all the plywood up, and I've marked the line 35mm in to where I'm going to put the Jarrah border. I've got this big hunk of Jarrah here, already glued across the grain. So all I'm going to do is just rip it to the thickness that I want, and then dock it just like a normal piece of timber. I'm just making this up as I go, guys, and we'll see what happens. As I said, bloody heavy. Just cutting it across the grain now to about 1/2 inch thick. And gluing it on. Put a heap of glue on there. And cramping it all up now. Place that I needed to cramp everything up on. This there long. Guys, I've got the border all done now. I've put the cramps on every corner. The one in the centre of the big ones. We're going to make a decision about the centre. What pattern we're going to use. Could be a herringbone pattern. It could be any pattern you like. I think I'll just cut a bit of timber and I'll play around with the pattern. And we'll see what we come up with. But the pattern on the inside is not going to be the same as the outside. The outside's going to be a bit different. But I've got the Jarrah border go all the way around it now to break it up. I'm just playing this by ear, guys. Never done this before, so we'll see how it turns out. Time to take the cramp off the board. Yeah, that's stuck well. That's just stuck really well. And I've got all my offcuts here. They've got to be fairly wide, but they've got to be able to fit through the planer. I've got to cut them down to about 70%. And I'm going to do that on my new little DeWalt battery operated saw. It's bloody powerful. It's more powerful than this big one. So I'll show you that now. Do it all again. See, that's what happens when you don't press record. You don't get everything done. All right, let's do all this again. Hey guys, this is my new battery operated DeWalt saw. Bloody little powerful thing it is. It's much more powerful than my big saw. It's got a very thin ripping blade on it. So it's great for ripping. So I'll put the timber down now to about 70mm. And then we'll put it through the thicknesser down to about 18mm, guys. Great little saw this, I love it. Saved me setting up with the big saw all the time. Nice and easy to use. And as I said, bloody powerful. And whacking them through the thickness now. Helical head on the thickness there. Cuts really well. There you go then, should tuck your shirt in, shouldn't you? I've got all the timber planed down to about 17mm, and all we've got to do now is to thickness of the jarrah I put on top of the plywood. So we'll do that now and we'll cross cut it. I think I used my small cross cut thread for that. Yeah, very safe thread this. Nothing can get stuck and go in between the blade and the thread. It is very tight. Let's do that, guys. I've cut all the blocks to go in the centre of the board, and we do the centre first. But I'll glue them in, and I'm going to pin them with this little pin gun in on an angle, so they just go into the plywood, but they don't go through the top. So they can't rust or anything, but they'll be inside the timber. I'm going to lay them in a brick pattern. So every line I'll have to cut one, and the best way to cut one with their end grain is with a hammer and chisel. Just mark and quick tap, and it'll cut perfectly. I've got a bit of sandpaper here to sand them up, and they've got a little bit of fur on them in case anything happens. So the trick is doing a job like this, where you've got a whole heap to glue in. Be prepared. Get everything organised so you're not running around while the glue dries. But I've got to be pretty quick at this, because when I get them all done, I put the whole thing in the press. And we'll press it, and then tomorrow we'll do the outside. Starting the block now. As I put the pin gun on an angle. It just pulls the blocks up tight. The pins are very small. You can hardly see them. I got to plug in my small AEG compressor, save me starting up the big one. And here I am just going to cut one with the hammer and chisel. Just line it up and give it a whack. There you go. Slice it straight down the grain. Nice tight fit there. It's going alright, guys. It's going good. Look at that. It's tedious work, so I'll come back when it's finished. Finish the board. Look at that. Came out great, didn't it? A few little gaps here or there, but they're only made from offcuts stuck on a board, so you're going to get a couple of gaps here or there. I'll fill the gaps with resin after I sand it, put it through the sander. So that will take up all the little excess, but I still think it'll come out good. The board up now, so we can glue on the end pieces. But they're 50mm thick, but they have to go on the ends now, all the way around to make it look like a solid timber, although we've got ply underneath. So I've cheated a bit, but saves some money. I'll trim the long ends of the boards up first, and then cut all the little bits to 55mm. Just trim the long ends up now, so I can glue up all the small pieces on there. Just cutting the small pieces, holding it with a stick. There's nothing to hold it. So hold it with a stick or something, and it cuts good. Yeah, just about all done now. And just gluing them on. You see how I rub them in? And they get tighter and tighter as you rub them in. And just let them sit there. And I sand up all the fur off them first. And then put a liberal amount of glue on it. Just like tiling a bathroom or something. Just doing one tile at a time. Liberal amount of glue and the edge. And then rubbing it in. and it'll suck down. We're all done. Got all the edges on now, and we're just going to give it a heap of sanding now. Bloody heavy though, I'll give you that. We'll sand it all down now. I'll router in some grab handles and maybe a juice groove. And we'll see how it comes up. I think it'll come out good. Look, I reckon that's going to come up really, really good. We've got the ply on the other side, you know, with the timber surround all the way around it. So we saved a heap of timber and we used all our offcuts. It's a good little fun project that you can use all your offcuts on, guys. Have a go at it. Bloody easy. Anyway, we'll sand it up now and we'll take it from there. Okay, just putting it through the sander now. Great little sander this, when I can get the paper to stay on, as you'll see in a minute. Tricky with sander is don't try to take too much at a time, just a bee stick at a time. There you go, you can hear the paper now. It's come off the roll. Open it up. Finally got it to work. And now routering in for the grab handles. With my big Makita router. Just taking a bit at a time. Bloody sander. I couldn't get the bloody paper on, it kept coming off. Anyway, I got it on, eventually. Sore fingers though. I put the board through a few times, come out great. And I've filled all the little cracks with aerodite. So but it's pretty thick. And it will just sit in gaps, but there weren't that many. There was hardly any gaps at all. So, and I've routed in the finger holes at the back, as you see. And I'll put it for the sander again. And then we're going to sand it up with the orbital. So it's nice and buttery. And I'll put a small wedge around everything with the probably a pencil round. Look at that, guys, all finished. Ready for the big reveal with the mineral oil. Look at the colour of that. That mineral oil makes it pop, doesn't it? Very pretty. Being ingrained, it soaks in a bit too, so you got to put a fair bit on. And then make sure you get all the corners and all the ends. And now I'm putting on the beeswax. Rubbing it in. And after I rubbed it in, I'll clean it off. There you go, just cleaning it off. All done. Look at that. All finished, guys. It came up great. Look at that. Perfect finish, a nice buttery finish. It came up magnificent. And it didn't cost me much. Couple of little bits of ply that I had and some offcuts. As I've shown, these sell on Etsy for about $400 to $500. You can make one yourself the way I did it. Very easy, very easy. Have a go, guys. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you in the next episode where we will make something else that's a little bit different. As you know, I like making different. See you guys.